Hey, what's going on, guys? Adam here, and welcome back to the channel. Yes, you read that correctly. In this video, I'll be interviewing Alex Mashinsky, the CEO of Celsius Network. I reviewed the platform on my channel and they really liked it, and so I think you're gonna like it too if you check it out up here and down below. So they reached out to see if I wanted to interview their CEO. I was like, I guess I can squeeze you guys into my very busy schedule. I'm totally kidding. I was beyond excited when I saw that come in, and it is all thanks to you guys. This will be edited down to a shorter video, but I'll post the full version in a separate video on the channel. I really appreciate this amazing opportunity, and I hope you enjoy. Now let's get into it. So as you guys know, Alex here is the CEO of Celsius Network. So to the folks that have seen my review of Celsius, they probably know a little bit about you already. But can you tell us the story of your career and your journey into the world of crypto?
Sure, yeah. So I'm an immigrant. I came to this country in the late 80s. I was lucky to arrive here right when the internet was just getting started, and worked on voice over IP, built the first gateway, wrote the original patents and protocols. And really it was decentralizing voice, taking it away from the phone companies that charged us several dollars a minute to call, make international calls, and making it free. We're using voice over IP right now, talking to each other. And in the same way, now we're going through another transformation called money over IP, right? Which includes this idea that we don't need an intermediary, we don't need a toll collector or a trusted party in the middle to help us transact with each other.
The most important question that I'm going to ask you today, who was the first to call you the machine, and is there any funny backstory behind that?
Well, the story goes back to I've had problems spelling my name. People always misspell it, so I call it Mash in Sky. Mashinsky is like Mash in Sky. So so the fact that the internet is in a cloud and so on, people like start playing with the mash part, and somebody invented the machine. I have no idea who did that, but it kind of stuck. And now it's a term, so definitely happy to be called the machine,
Yeah, that's funny. It makes sense.
We have to dig up to see who is the first person to tweet about it or to publish it. I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see that. If any of you guys watch and know, leave it down in the comments. Definitely interested to hear that. I think Alex is too. The first thing I want to talk about is the opt-in self-insurance to protect users against counterparty risks. So the feature is in the app right now, but it still says that it's under construction. So can you tell us a little bit more about it?
So what we're trying to do is really create a reserve that by itself, the reserve itself is earning a yield as well. And that reserves grows over time to make sure that any counterparty, any problem we have with any counterparty is being basically covered out of this reserve. So despite the fact that in almost 4 years, we have not had any events of default or events of lack of payment with any of our institutional counterparties. I go, I have a weekly show on YouTube every Friday, and I tell the community every Friday if we have any reserves against losses. Did we have any losses? Do we have any counterparties that haven't paid? And like I said, until now we haven't had any, but I think it will be a good practice to have it, and that's why we've basically, most of the community opted in. Over 70% of the community opted in and said, yes, we want this, we're willing to pay for it. So it's just a question of getting the product developed and implemented.
Yeah, that's awesome. I definitely implemented, or I opted in as well. And yeah, nice plug for your Ask Mashinsky Anything. Yeah, definitely go check out the official Celsius YouTube channel where Alex does his AMAs. Have you guys worked out like how much this is going to cost individual users?
So it's going to be a percentage of your yield. So let's say you're earning 8.8% on a stable coin. After this reserve, you may be earning 8.5% on your stable coin. So it's really All it does, it just lowers your yield a little bit, and that money goes from everybody. It goes pro rata from everybody. Right. And it protects everybody pro rata, right?
Got it. Okay.
When it's launched. It's not launched yet, but I'm saying when it's launched.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, and that's nice and easy for everyone. You know, just one click of a button, and you guys do what you need to do on the back end. And then, so as far as what it's going to cover exactly, it's mostly going to be loss of funds.
Borrowers not paying, us not being able to liquidate on time, us having a technical issue, anything that has to do with not transacting properly with a counterparty.
Got it. Okay.
Which is the vast majority of the risk. I would say more than 90% of the risk is not that somebody will steal stuff from you on cold storage or hot storage. The vast majority of the risk is that you've done a poor job selecting a counterparty and they ran away, or they don't want to pay you back, or you can't find them, or whatever. Right. Which obviously, again, never happened to us, but that's what we have to protect against.
Yeah, makes sense, makes sense. Are you guys going to be making any sort of public audits or publishing any, public audits?
Yeah, so I think we've done more than anyone else. Just to give you a few examples. First, I think we've done 3 chain analysis review of our balances. So we use the software to basically scan through all of our users' assets and validate how much we've received from our customers. Like last count, I think was $17 billion. We've also done what we call proof of community. So we have opened up our kimono and showed all of our transactions. So you can go and verify not just the assets from the community, but also did we deploy them? Did we earn yield? Did you receive the pro rata that you're supposed to receive on your Bitcoin? If you're 1% of the pool, did you get 1% of the interest? And that's called proof of community and rewards explorer. These are 2 parts of the program that, again, no one in the crypto world has ever done, right? I mean, try to go to some of our competitors, either the CeFi guys or the DeFi guys, and tell them, I want to know not just how much I earned, but how much everybody else earned. And I want proof of that. I call it triple entry accounting, right? Instead of double entry, you can now use the blockchain to provide you triple entry verification that what Celsius is telling you every week, because we publish our numbers every week, is true and accurate, right? Because it's all collected and recorded on the blockchain.
Well, that's good to know that you guys are providing that transparency through the blockchain, as a native platform on the blockchain. Real-time
blockchain-based transparency. And again, it's not just for people who are using Celsius. Anyone can go collect that data and run a verification program. You don't need to be a Celsius customer to get access to the data. Data is available to anyone.
Very cool. Okay, well, good to know. If anyone out there wants to verify Celsius's holdings, go for it. It's out there. First up here is going to be customer support. So this is an issue that seems to plague the finance industry. It's definitely not just you guys. So there's been a lot of concern about Celsius customer service taking weeks or even months to resolve issues like delayed deposits and locked funds. So now the interest in crypto spiked very quickly. So, I understand that the first several months were rough trying to ramp up staffing. So I'll give you that. But, Celsius is a, very large financial organization. So are you guys doing anything to improve the customer support experience?
Yeah, so it's true that in February and March we had some, we haven't staffed fast enough. But today we answer over 86% of our tickets are answered within 24 hours and resolved within 48 hours. I would argue that we have the best customer service out of any lending or yield company out there. We already hired over 50 agents, and we already opened our Las Vegas facility where we're planning to add another 100. So that's everything we promised has happened. And today, like I said, we resolved most of the issues the same day. So yes, there were issues in the past, right. But if you look at the latest post, we actually got record 5-star reviews both on Android and on Apple in the last 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, it's great to hear that you guys, are ramped up. and ready to go. So the next question that I would like to ask is about rehypothecation of collateral. So for anyone who doesn't know, this is when you take a loan out from a bank, or Celsius in this case, and you're generally required to provide collateral as a kind of insurance for the loan if you're unable to pay. So for a mortgage, that's like the house that you are buying. For Celsius, that is the crypto that you are borrowing against. So rehypothecation is when you use your collateral to generate revenue, like lending it out, instead of holding onto it. So this can be seen as a risky play since you don't have those assets on hand in case of emergency. So is there any clarity that you can provide on what exactly Celsius is doing with loan collateral?
Yeah, so we publicly state that we rehypothecate both assets provided to us by clients as well as collateral. And it's not just retail collateral. We also have institutional collateral, and we have other type of collateral. So, and that's how we generate yield. So one of the reasons why Celsius is earning more high yield than anyone else is because we are more efficient with the deployment of all of these assets. Now, when you talk about risky, let's compare notes. So your average bank, the bank that you give your paycheck to, is on average leveraged 20-1, right? So they have 20 times the loans and the transactions out than what they actually have on deposit with the bank, right? So Celsius does not, because we don't have leverage, right? We cannot do fractional reserve. At best, we go to like 1.3 because the 0.3 is the collateral that we get, right? So 1-to-1 would be, you gave me $100, I lent $100, but if you give me a little bit more because I only lend 50 cents on the dollar, I have up to 1.3 times collateral. So here's 20-1 with banks, and here's 1.3-1. So you tell me who's more risky.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, you guys do.
That's why you need to unbank yourself,
Yeah, there it is. There's the slogan, unbank yourself. Well, great. Thank you for that really in-depth explanation. I think that should put a lot of minds at ease for bringing funds into Celsius. So that's actually a good segue into the next question that I wanted to ask. It's still sort of related to the rehypothecation. So Prime Trust recently decided that they no longer want to work with Celsius as one of their custodial platforms. So how does this impact the business? To my understanding, they were just custodians for New York customers. And then is your other custodian, Fireblocks, going to take over full time there?
Yeah, so we used Prime Trust in 2 different states, New York and another state. Mm-hmm. And you can go on my Twitter and see me several times apologizing to our customers in those states that the services were just not, like some of them, like you mentioned before, some people, it took 2 weeks for Prime Trust to return coins to some of these people, which is obviously not the Celsius level of service. And a lot of the frustration that customer had on Reddit and so on had nothing to do with us, had to do with our custodian not providing services. Again, this wasn't an issue. The only issue was that CoinDesk decided to write a story about it, and they put a title as if Prime Trust dumps Celsius because of some regulatory issue. There was nothing at all to do with anything. And I tweeted about this, that CoinDesk is owned by Genesis Trading, which is one of our big competitors. And so there was, again, they were just trying. Genesis is bleeding customers to Celsius. They were trying to paint us in a bad way, and they called their sister company and made sure that they wrote inaccurate and incorrect story about us. So it's just a shame that, again, this all reverted into negatives instead of just everybody staying in their lane.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but seems like you guys are taking the high road here. So
most of the time we take the high.
But yeah, most of the time. Yeah, you got to throw your jabs in every now and then.
I throw my jabs at the banks. I throw my jobs at the banks,
just at the
but
banks.
my competitors constantly try to pick up a fight with me. So
Right.
it's like I'll use the phrase from the movie Wall Street, where I'll stop telling the truth about them when they stop telling lies about me. So,
Gotcha. Great movie, great quote. So Celsius is on the higher end of the spectrum when it comes to interest rates, which is phenomenal. It's one of the reasons why I love being on the Celsius platform. So are those rates sustainable? And you touched on this a little bit, but how do you offer those rates while others are slashing theirs? So you mentioned that you are just more efficient at deploying your assets. Can you go a little bit more in depth into how you are able to, support and sustain these rates?
Sure. So it's actually very simple. Look, are these rates sustainable, which was your first question? Yes, they are. Frankly, we are, when we launched Celsius back in 2017 and early 2018, we were paying 3 and 4% yield. So our yields actually gone up over time.
Yeah.
And yields on USDC and USDT went all the way to 12%, from 4% all the way to 12, and they're now down to 8.8 because demand has come down a little bit. But that is still, again, between 10 and 50 times more than your bank pays you, right?
Yep.
So these are phenomenal rates, and the reason we can continue paying it while, like you said, BlockFi and Genesis and Gemini and DeFi cut their rates by 90% is because Celsius, unlike all these other people, has 6 different sources of yield. Celsius lends to institutions. We're probably the largest lender to institutions. We lend to exchanges. We lend to DeFi. We also borrow from DeFi, and we do mining, and we have yield from investments. When we invest, and for example, we invested in Core Scientific. Few weeks later, they announced that they're going public. The value of that investment is now worth, we invested $54 million. It's now worth $200 million, right? So for us, that's just yield for our community.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for that really in-depth explanation. Having that 6, lanes, as you said, of, generating interest is fantastic, especially, in turbulent times like this. You get a little bit more stability there.
Well, it also helps. I've been very accurate this year and last year in my predictions for the market. Last year in January of 2020, I predicted Bitcoin hitting 30,000. We hit it on the nose on January 1st, 2021. I predicted we're gonna see a correction back to 30,000. After we've been at 30,000, I said, we're not going lower. Everybody else thought we're going back to 25 or 20,000. I said, you wait till 25,000, you're never going to buy any more coins. Buy them now, 29. I said $29,056 on my AMA.
Wow.
Right? My AMA with Nuke Gold, my co-founder.
Yeah,
and
wow.
we were within $200 of that. That marked the bottom. And I said, it's all smooth sailing since. And we're up 40% since, almost 40%. I can promise you, Celsius created more millionaires than anybody else in lending, okay? There isn't anyone else that even come close. We publish our top 500, all right, on our website.
And now that you mention it, do you have any price predictions for Bitcoin, let's say by the end of the year?
Yes, I have the same prediction. It didn't change in January or in May when Bitcoin was at 65. Or in July when Bitcoin went down to 29,000. My prediction was that we will, after this 30K correction, we're gonna rocket to 140 to 160,000, pretty much in a straight line, which we're already doing a chunk of that.
I would love that.
We're gonna close the year below 100,000 because too many people are gonna wanna sell. Too many people are gonna feel like, wow, the price is too high. So towards the end of the year, I called $77,000 to $95,000. That's the range that we're going to close at. I might be totally wrong, so it's not like.
Oh yeah. I won't hold you to it or anything, but yeah, it's just interesting hearing everyone's perspective on, when you like literally have a pulse on the market like this. It's interesting to hear from price targets and stuff.
Yeah, it's not because I am better than other people. I'm looking at the million people that are using Celsius
most
of them are hodlers.
I would love for that to happen, so I'm crossing my fingers. I'm sure it will get there though. Well, great. Thank you for that insight. That was wonderful. Let's get into some fun, more fun questions about expanding the Celsius ecosystem. I have a viewer of mine that wants to know by the name of Artuis, are there going to be any new cryptocurrencies that are going to be supported in the future? Specifically, when will something like Cardano get listed? Or, if you have any others in the near future, definitely interested to hear that too.
Yeah, so we actually announced Cardano is launching on August 19th. And we are gonna start it with a 4.05% yield, and we hope to increase it from there. We need to see how much institutional demand there is for it, and we're also looking to add a bunch of other coins and tokens. So it really depends on how much demand there is for those coins. People always ask me, how do you decide which one you're adding? And I'm like, if institutions and exchanges are willing to pass for it, then we will list it. If you have a coin, if you have a coin, also like Dogecoin, we asked our community and 80% said, no way, we don't want Dogecoin in the Celsius wallet. So we have a very opinionated community, and most of the time we listen to them very carefully to make sure that we support what they want to do, because just doing what we want to do is not always the best thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, it's good to hear. Yeah, okay. So Cardano in 2 weeks, Artuis. And I'll be looking forward to seeing more coins getting added to that based on demand. Cool. So the next thing, and you guys have already announced this, but the crypto swap, exchange or feature. This is a great feature that, some of your competitors have. So do you know when exactly that we can expect this swap feature in Celsius?
Yeah, so we are launching beta again in August, end of August. But people have to remember that when you swap, most exchanges, most wallets actually charge you a spread. And whatever you think you are saving on gas fees, you're probably paying several times that on the spread and on slippage and on all kind of other stuff. Look, our point about adding the ability to swap is some people, they want to move, for example, from Bitcoin to a stable coin or from stable coin to something else. And instead of them withdrawing it, doing it somewhere else, then returning it to Celsius, they can do it inside the wallet, right? So that's really the main benefit, is to enable our community to transact easier inside the wallet. And it's coming next month. We're going to be opening it gradually to a variety of geographies. So if you don't see the function yet, that means you just have to wait, because it's coming your way. It's just going to take a little bit of time for it to get there.
Got it. Okay. Well, that's awesome news. Yeah. So yeah, it really helps with convenience of, managing your cryptocurrencies like you mentioned. So yeah, excellent. Okay, well, I really look forward to seeing that. Okay, so the next up that I want to ask about is Fiat on-ramps. So currently there's no way to get fiat currency into Celsius. You have to buy crypto on another platform that does take bank transfers and then transfer the cryptocurrency into Celsius. So are there any plans on implementing a system to withdraw and deposit fiat directly into Celsius?
We do support both ACH and SEPA with Wire and with another provider in Europe. So it's just not available in all the states. So if you see that option, you can use it. If you don't see the option, that means you're in a state that blocks this type of service. Okay. But for most states in the United States, I think something like 28 states in the United States, the feature is available, and you can actually use ACH or SEPA in Europe. Our focus is the community. We are a community-driven project. We're one of the very few ICOs that actually delivered on everything they promised. I know we have plenty of competition, but if you dig in and you compare apples to apples, you'll see that Celsius does more for its community than anybody else. We paid out over $700 million in yield. No one even comes close to that. How much did you actually pay your community? That's what matters.
All right, so at this point, we wrapped up the interview. He had another meeting to run to, and gotta get on with our day. With that said, thank you so much for watching, and thank you guys for making this possible. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take it easy.